What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here in today's video, I will be discussing and talking about a decision of Tate Martell to enter the transfer portal for his second time in his college football career. Before I get into this video, I wanted to say, everybody who's watching, I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy my videos and have seen them before, I would really appreciate a subscription. It would mean a lot. And if you enjoy the video, like it, and whatever you guys think about what I say, if you agree or disagree, whatever, leave a comment as well. Now getting into the decision of Tate Martell, everybody, I wouldn't say everybody, a lot of people know Tate Martell through QB1, the show on Netflix. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Actually, in high school, he was the second rated dual threat quarterback in the country. He went to Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, which some people actually think that he may be going there now that he's transferring. I'll get into that later. But so he played there, was on QB1. Everybody knew him. A lot of people kind of thought he was cocky, I guess. I don't know. It was a lot of stuff with him, and he was kind of seemed selfish and a little bit about himself from the show. But that's all we saw in the video. Nobody really knows him. Only people who know him can say anything. But then after that, he went to Ohio State, played for a little while, transferred to Miami, where he ended up playing only a few games and then transferring. But I'll be getting into all that as the video goes on. So first off, I saw this tweet in 10 years. So as an eighth grader, Tate Martell first committed to Washington, where he committed to play for Coach Steve Sarkisian. And then in 2015, so as a junior, I believe, or a junior or sophomore, he decommitted and then committed to Texas A&M. And then the following year in 2016, he decommitted from there, so another decommitment, and committed to Ohio State. That was the year that he was on QB1, and I guess a lot of people knew who he was then, but he made a name for himself on the show and all the shows on the field with all the plays he made and how electric he was. A lot of people knew who he was, and he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Like I said, he was a second-rated dual threat quarterback. So like I said, in that year, he was on QB1, made a huge name for himself. And then he was selected for the U.S. Army Bowl, and he was also the USA Today Player of the Year or something like that. So he was one of the best players in the country. Everybody had a lot of high expectations for him, and that is why I think we're now seeing a lot of people kind of doubt him because they expected a lot more. But personally, I still think he has some stuff left in the tank, and wherever he goes next, if he gets the opportunity to play, will ball out. I fully believe that, but we just have to see. So then Martell was at Ohio State for 2 years. His first year he redshirted, and then in his second season he actually played in 6 games. He made appearances in 6 games. The Tulane game, he threw the ball a really good amount. I think that's because they were beating them so bad, so they wanted to give him the chance. He completed 10 passes on 14 attempts for 115 yards. Then against Rutgers, he completed 10 passes on 10 attempts for 121 yards and a touchdown. And then he completed 3 passes against Oregon State, where Ohio State won 77-31. So really, looking at that, Tulane is not a Power 5 school, but they're a pretty good football team. This year they really made a name for themselves, and as the years have gone on, they've gotten better and better. So he proved against them. Then Rutgers, who for a while was kind of the laughingstock of the Big Ten, who is another team that's really improved, went 10 for 10 against them, which is a Big Ten defense, a good defense. And then Oregon State, who's not as good, just like Rutgers, but still came in against them and threw for 33 yards on 3 passes and 4 attempts. So it wasn't like he was getting brought in against bad teams or horrible teams and just having a great game. He got brought in against some Power 5 schools and some top lower conference schools, still FBS, and played well. So that's why I think there's still a lot left in the tank for him. And because in high school, I know it changes. Some kids, when they go to college, it's not the same. But in high school, we saw what he could do. And in games like the Rutgers game, like the Oregon State game, like the Tulane game, we saw what he could do. Not only throwing the ball, but running, getting out of the pocket, making plays, stuff like that. So I definitely think Tate Martell still has a long way to go, and it's not over for him. He whatever the case is for him next, whatever school he goes to, which I'm going to get into later as well. I think he still has a very good career ahead of him, and eventually could end up going to the NFL draft. A lot of people, like I said before, counting him out. I just don't see the point in that, especially when you've seen the things he could do. A lot of people are clowning him for the transferring and all that. That he wants a better opportunity for himself. I get everything that he did in high school with the decommitting, committing, and now transferring already twice in college. It's kind of crazy and just insane. But like I said, I wouldn't count out him for his talent. And if he goes to a lower FBS school, could dominate one of those conferences like the Mountain West, where I'll be talking about later. But another big thing that stood out to me was what he was dealing with at Ohio State. The quarterback room was so crazy to even think about. Like, looking back at it now, I don't blame him for transferring. Dwayne Haskins, so his freshman year, the year he redshirted and didn't play, Dwayne Haskins, Joe Burrow, and JT Barrett all were in there with him. Joe Burrow, first overall pick. Dwayne Haskins, first round pick. JT Barrett, great in college. All three of those guys, and meanwhile, JT Barrett was a starter. So all three of those guys were in there with him. I'm not exactly sure what the coaches were telling him and how that was going on, but if he wasn't going to get a starting job, I mean, does it really make sense to stay there? Then that's when his next year came. And those guys also didn't stay there. So his final year, they wouldn't have been there, but that's when the transfer came in. So then his next year was the year Dwayne Haskins came back. Dwayne Haskins had the starting spot. That's the year he played in 6 games. So he still played a little bit when they took bigger leads. And I'm not sure if that was to try to get him ready for next year because they knew Dwayne Haskins was leaving for the draft or what. But, he played in 6 games, started getting a little bit more playtime, but was still not the starting quarterback. Then the next year, Justin Fields announced he would be transferring to Ohio State. That kind of changed everything for him. So now, following the news of Justin Fields going there, Tate Martell transferred out or entered the transfer portal. So I'm not sure. I highly doubt that he was going to transfer before that, because if Justin Fields didn't go to Ohio State, I think Tate Martell would have had the starting job easily and would have been the starting quarterback. But I'm sure it maybe pissed him off, the fact they were bringing in Justin Fields when Martell had sat his 2 years and was ready to go. So that's when he transferred to Miami, where everything in Miami happened. He was forced to switch over to wide receiver, which is a long story. He moved from wide receiver back to quarterback. And the main reason that he was moved to wide receiver at Miami was because, he lost the quarterback battle with Jarren Williams. When he went to Miami, I believe everybody who paid attention to college football and was interested in college football thought he'd be the starting quarterback. Everybody thought he'd beat out Jarren Williams. It wouldn't really be a question, and it ended up Jarren Williams beating him. And I think I believe it was the 2019-2020 season, there was 2 games a week before everybody else, and Miami, Florida was one of them. And everybody was really excited to see Tate Martell play, to see what he could do. And I believe they brought him in to do some runs or to catch some passes. He was warming up with gloves on. It was a whole big deal. And that's really when everybody was like, wow, he's moving to wide receiver. I'm pretty sure that it was the coaching. I actually have no idea. My guess would be that the coaching staff told him to move to wide receiver. I think he wanted to do whatever he could to get on the field because that's the type of player he is. But it was just, I wasn't at practices, and I'm sure Manny Diaz knows more than I do, but still, it doesn't make sense. Jarren Williams versus Tate Martell, from what I've seen from Martell, that he got the starting spot. So then heading into this year, I think it was going to be another battle for the starting spot, and then that's when De'Aaron King came, and we all know what De'Aaron King did this year and how good he was at Houston before he transferred in. So that was kind of understandable once again, similar to what happened at Ohio State. He's going to battle for the quarterback spot, and then they bring in a top recruited transfer, which just kind of kills the hopes. So now he opted out. So the picture I told you of the 10 years, he opted out for the 2020 season. So by the end of 2019-2020 season, he moved back to quarterback and was the backup quarterback and was working out as a quarterback. So then heading into this season in 2020, he opted out Um, with everything going on with COVID, I guess he decided to opt out. And then just a few days ago, he decided to enter the transfer portal, which when I saw the news that he had opted out earlier this year, I was fully expecting him to go to the transfer portal. And it definitely just doesn't help anything. The fact that De'Aaron King is coming back to Miami, because he probably wouldn't have gotten that starting spot. It may have been a good battle, but De'Aaron King proved himself this year, and I'm sure Miami would have given De'Aaron King that spot back. So it was no reason for Tate Martell to come back. So now moving into what is next for Tate Martell, there has been crystal ball put in for Tate Martell to go to UNLV in the Mountain West, like I said before, where I think he'll dominate if he ends up going. Trey Scott, who is actually an editor for 24/7 Sports, put this crystal ball in. Now, I'm not too familiar with him, and I also have not seen any other crystal balls that he has put in. So I'm not exactly sure how much he knows, but he also put this in a few days ago. And I'm not sure if he's just taking a guess, but it would be a good guess because Tate Martell lives in Las Vegas, went to high school there, and could be returning home to play for a school where he could really change as a whole in the Mountain West Conference and just put on for his hometown. So if that's a guess, that would make sense. But also, if he knows something, that probably will tell us something that Tate Martell might be, coming home and it'll be official soon. I'm not exactly sure when he's going to make the decision. It could be right after I put this video out. We never really know, and it's going to have to be pretty soon. Spring ball starts, all of that type of stuff. So my guess right now would be UNLV. Even before that, before I saw the crystal ball, I was guessing UNLV. I was going through Twitter, saw a lot of stuff, and really thought about it. He played at Bishop Gorman, stayed in his hometown. Everything will probably be easier for him if he just stays close to home. And he also should be the starting quarterback in UNLV. There's no question about it. That's exactly why I think he'll go to UNLV, ball out there. And we've seen a lot of guys go to schools in the Mountain West or smaller Power Five or smaller FBS schools that end up going to the NFL and getting drafted and having a career there. I know a lot of you don't think he has any chance, and a lot of you are hating on him, which I understand. A lot of people don't like him because they think he's arrogant and cocky. And like I said earlier, in the 10 years, he's committed and decommitted 50 times. A lot of people are calling him a clown, whatever. But I still think he has a lot left in the tank. And I also I truly believe he could have a shot to play in the NFL when he finishes his college football career. If he does, stays with what he has, keeps working out. And that's another thing. He's working out. He's been working out with some good guys. Brevin Jordan, who actually played with him at Bishop Gorman and also played with him at Miami. He's been working out with him, working out with some wide receivers in Las Vegas, I believe, which is perfect for him to work out with such good players like tight ends like Brevin Jordan and other wide receivers that he's working out with to get the touchback. And, I'm sure he's been working out the whole offseason, but I saw the video on his Instagram. So there's definitely still a lot left in the tank for Tate Martell. And in the next few days or next few weeks, we'll see what his decision is and where he's going to decide to go and play quarterback moving forward. So that is it for this video. I really appreciate you guys watching and watching all my videos. I really appreciate it. Like I said, if you enjoy my videos, please, I would really appreciate a subscription. If you like this video, leave a like. And if you agree or disagree, I would really appreciate a comment as well, because I love responding and reading your guys' comments. So that is it. And yeah, look out for my next video coming up probably on Tuesday. Thank you.